This is Bizarre with 10 ways to demotivate our tech employees. Today's topic will be demotivation by bureaucracy. Bureaucracy. I think I should stop singing. Processes are helpful for handling recurring tasks in an organization. In many cases, processes decrease communication overhead and friction and at the same time increase the quality of the result. Unfortunately, it happens rather often that proportion gets lost. And with the good intention to include every possible scenario and satisfy every possible requirement, processes become complicated, time-consuming, and even worse, lead to bad quality and paralysis. Employees who have to execute such processes feel disempowered, misused, and discouraged. A manifestation of bureaucracy is the excessive amount of approvals many of our organizations require from their employees. IT approvals, time correction and holiday approvals, budget and expense approvals, home office approvals, resource allocation approvals, headcount and hiring approvals, pull request and release approvals. This list could go on forever. Even if we agree to that some level of control is needed, we have to acknowledge that these approvals lead to extra effort and delays, which in some can be quite high. In some cases, approvers get so many requests that answering them fills a large portion of their day. And then they stop checking properly, and by this caricature the original purpose. In most companies, everything involving money is covered by a thick layer of process. There are good reasons for not making it too easy, but if you make it too difficult, some strange effects will occur. Of course, we will generally discourage people from spending money, but the ones who fight themselves through the obstacle course we have built are not necessarily the ones who need the money for producing value for our organizations. We might prevent some important investments while at the same time wasting money on superficialities. As long as we put enough pressure, employees will follow the most Kafkaesque process, even if they perfectly understand that it's not reasonable. Fortunately, there is a self-cleansing mechanism. Tech employees are continuously trying to optimize their environment, and as soon as we relieve the pressure, optimization will kick in. First just a bit, but after some months, the worst part will have completely disappeared. Bureaucracy is a lot about control. We are human, and like most humans, we like to be in control. We want that every procedure is regulated and that everyone follows these regulations. The worst thing we can do now is to give in. Our naive idealism to make this organization a better place will fail with certainty and lead to demotivation. We often lose our sense of proportion. We use heavy processes on trifles. We want to get involved in things which are already handled by someone else. It is so difficult to let go of something we have been responsible for in the past. And for preventing something which has a low risk to occur and low damage if it actually does, we accept that something even worse happens for sure. One example I have experienced myself is a dysfunctional booking process for external trainings. If the application process requires to fill in long forms in different systems and involves several people who need weeks to process it, employees will just stop wanting to do external trainings. For preventing that some employees book unnecessary or too expensive courses, we accept to spend hours of bureaucracy work which is worth more than the training costs, that our employees learn less and that they lose their motivation. It does not matter how deeply we think this through, there's no way to foresee every possible side effect. We don't know everything, and the human factor adds another layer of complexity. But actually, even if we cannot know every detail, the base equation is very simple. Every process step in our organization generates a delay, causes efforts, has a risk to fail, and by this has a tendency to demotivate our employees. The more processes we have, the more complex and less flexible they are, and the more they affect the daily work, the stronger the negative side effects will be. The first question before introducing a new process should always be, do we really need this to be formalized? In most cases, employees intuitively know how to achieve things. And instead of setting up a process, we should appeal to reason and to the responsibility of each person. If things are unclear, we could have a policy. And if we still have doubts, we could have a tracking mechanism which alerts us in case of misuse. And when we get to the conclusion that we really need a formal process, let us keep it lightweight and flexible. Not every request needs a template. We can be flexible about how the request is made or the order in which the steps are executed. We can allow shortcuts for the easy cases, for instance, if the cost is below a certain amount. The effort generated by the process should be balanced. We might be tempted to make the process in a way which is more convenient for us, but less convenient for our employees. But since our employees already get the bigger end of the stick, this is neither good for the overall effort nor for the motivation. Let's be patient with alleged mistakes our employees make. The effort for us to explain some details again and again and again seem incredibly high, but the effort for our employees is much higher if they have to read themselves through our complete documentation. It might seem educational to reject a ticket because the requester had chosen the wrong ticket category. The employee whose job is not to understand our arbitrary category scheme will appreciate if we just corrected it. A process must have a purpose, and we should make this purpose explicit, because only then we can evaluate whether the measures are adequate and the purpose is fulfilled. We should be open to improvement. If someone presents a better solution, we should be ready to change. And if a process doesn't serve its purpose any longer, we should be ready to give it up. It's always easier to add a new rule than to delete an existing one. Let us not go the easy way and take the effort to cut the red tape whenever we can. Let's reduce, simplify, and add flexibility. An organization which reduces bureaucracy will have more motivated employees and eventually be more successful. If you have an interesting example for bureaucracy in your organization, I would love to hear about it. Please write a comment. And if you wonder what the next video will be about, it will be about demotivation by authority.